There are ways in which methods of collection of data for the research work could be done, and the primary data that will be collected will be the first time, and it will be a original character. Secondary data that has been collected by someone else, and it will also pass through the statistical analysis. So in collecting the primary data, experimental research could be conducted, descriptive type and survey could be conducted. In that descriptive type, it will be the observation or the direct communication that will be done. In collecting the primary data, observation method, interview method, through questionnaires, through schedules, and other methods which will include warranty cards, distributor audits, pantry audits, consumer panels, using mechanical devices through projective techniques, depth interviews, and content analysis. So observation method is where the commonly used method, especially in studies relating to what is known as behavioral science, in a systematically planned and recorded, and is subjected to checks and controls on the validity and reliability. The information is sought by way of in which investigators own direct observation without asking from respondent. So investigator, instead of asking for the brand of a wristwatch used by the respondent, may himself look at the watch. Then this is nothing but what is known as observation. Observation is where it is advantages are it will be very subjective bias. Very subjective bias is eliminated. The information relates to what is currently happening, and also it is independent of respondents willing to respond. It is also suitable where subjects cannot be verbal reports of their own. There are many disadvantages of this, which are nothing but it will also be very expensive. Information provided by this method will have some limitations, and unforeseen factors are possible, and really there are some people are really accessible to direct observation. So the type of observations which are done are structured and unstructured observations, where in that the questions would arrive whether it has been observed, what has been observed, how and how accurately it has been observed, and what are the different units of observation, style of recording, standard that has been used, and whether there has been a participation from the person observing, or whether he was a non-participant, and whether this has applied in a controlled observations and uncontrolled. Controlled is where pre-planned and precision and standard has been completely applied, and uncontrolled is where artificial or natural pre-settings have been done, where it becomes spontaneous and sufficient time it will be taken. So in interview method, the oral verbal stimuli and reply in terms of oral verbal responses. Two types are there: personal interviews and telephone interviews. Personal interviews are one, asking questions generally face to face, direct personal investigation, or it may be indirect oral investigation. Direct interviewer collects the information personally. Indirect is where interviewer has to cross-examine other person who has the knowledge about problem under investigation. So personal interviews is usually carried out in a structured way. So types of personal interview could be focused interview, where focus attention on the given experience of a respondent and its effects, where clinical interview will be broad underlying feelings, motivations with the course of individual life experiences. Non-directing interview will be where encourage the respondent to talk about the topic. There are merits of the same, which are more deep information could be possible. Interviewer can also use his own skill to overcome the resistance, flexibility through the restructure questions. There will be verbal answers to various questions. Personal information's characteristics and environment could be easily obtained. Informant caught off guard and spontaneous reactions could be in the personal interview could be possible to record, and language command misinterpretation can be language used could be measured, misinterpretation could be avoided. Mm. Weaknesses very expensive for large and widely spread geographical sample, and there is a possibility of bias of the interviewer as comes in person, and it could be possible to show. Important official or executive or people in high income group may not be easily approachable, and the presence of the interviewer on the spot may become uh, mm, 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 expensive to create ambience for the requirement, and organization required for selecting, training, and supervising the field is also complex. A proper rapport with the respondents would facilitate free and frank responses, which is difficult task. Telephonic interviews are more flexible ones, and they are faster, they are cheaper, they can you can recall easily and call back, simple, economical, and mail rate of response higher than the mailing, and replies recorded without embarrassing to the respondents. Interviewer can explain requirements more easily. No field staff is required. At times, access can be gained to the respondent who otherwise cannot be contacted for one person. Demerits: little time to respond with, extensive geographical coverage may get restricted, not suitable for intense surveys where comprehensive answers are required. Possibility of the bias of the interviewer is relatively more. Questions have to be short and to the point, which is really difficult to handle with. Through questionnaires, it is possible for um, big inquiries, and you're concerned with a request to answer the questions. It will be low cost, and for a large universe, it could be done free from the bias of interviewer. Respondents have adequate time. Respondents who are not easily approachable can be reached. Large samples can be made use, and thus the results can be made more dependable. Demerits are low rate of returns, and it is used when the responses are only educated and cooperative, and control over the questions may be lost, not flexible because it is difficult to amend. Possibility of replies ambiguity, and then it could be slowest of all the methods. So these are some of the things which could be possible to obtain the